Costs incurred when renting a factory in an industrial park in Vietnam. Many investors, when deciding to rent a factory in an industrial park in Vietnam, might think that the factory in the industrial park has full legal documents and a fire protection system. Then think that when renting, they can just move in and do it. However, in reality, there will be initial costs that investors need to pay attention to in order to budget for the process of completing the factory and putting it into operation. Here are some costs. 1. Cost for the fire protection system. If you think that the factory in the industrial park has a fire protection system, it is enough, but in reality, it is not. If you run electrical lines, install machinery and equipment, and make partitions for small rooms in the factory, the parts you add will affect the existing fire protection system. In addition, your manufacturing industry is also one of the factors that change the fire protection system. For example, if your industry uses chemicals, flammable solvents or combustible materials such as wood, foam, it is also necessary to adjust the fire prevention and fighting system. Or during the construction process, you need to lower the fire sprinkler head, make fireproof partitions, make a smoke extraction system, etc. Therefore, usually in industrial parks, the lessee will be required to coordinate with the Fire Prevention and Fighting Consulting Unit to adjust the fire prevention and fighting drawings and re-accept the fire prevention and fighting system in the premises you rent. Depending on the scale, area and level of adjustment of the rented area, there will be a specific price. However, this cost is one of the highest costs incurred during the process of putting the factory into operation. 2. Cost of wastewater treatment system. Many investors mistakenly think that renting a factory in an industrial park means that the industrial park has a wastewater treatment system. We just need to discharge it directly into the system of the industrial park and the industrial park will handle it. However, in reality, this is not the case. Each industrial park will have requirements for the concentration of substances in wastewater that need to be treated to a certain standard before being discharged into the industrial park system. Normally, industrial parks in Vietnam will require wastewater to meet Standard B. Therefore, if you produce food that contains many different substances or manufacturing industries that have wastewater that includes washing, rinsing, cleaning, and chemicals such as paint, plating, solvents, lubricants, etc., you need to collect wastewater in a place called a wastewater collection pit. Then filter and treat the wastewater to meet Standard B before it can be discharged into the general system of the industrial park. Otherwise, the industrial park will not accept wastewater from your factory. This issue will be raised when you consult with environmental companies during the process of preparing environmental-related documents such as DTM or environmental licenses. Once you have these licenses approved, you can proceed to build a wastewater treatment system according to the wastewater treatment plan in the license. Please note that some factories for rent in Vietnam are built in the premises of the receiving industry, which does not generate wastewater. Before renting a factory, you need to check with the factory owner about the wastewater issue and the possible location to build your treatment system. 3. Carefully consider the height, load and floor of the factory. Usually, the height of a factory for rent in Vietnam is about 7 to 8 meters and the floor load is 2 tons. If your industry uses machinery with a height greater than that, you need to find a suitable factory because increasing the height of the factory is often not feasible because you will change the structure of the factory and the existing fire protection system, which will be very expensive. Or you use heavy machinery such as machinery in the steel production process, machinery in the textile industry, requiring floor loads of up to 5 tons. Then you need to reinforce the floor and this cost is what you have to pay. Or your factory is in the food industry or the industry with wastewater. The factory floor needs to be in some locations with a slope to let the water drain into the collection system. Then you need to raise the floor, create a slope, and move the drainage system. If your factory produces mechanical, interior, assembly, then you may not need this cost. 4. Electricity is available and just needs to be connected and used. Usually, for a 1,000 square meters factory, the electricity will be 150 kVA, or some large factories of about 5,000 square meters. People only install a 560 kVA transformer station. If you use more, you need to increase the capacity. For example, The cost to install a 560 kVA transformer station is about $23 US. The above are some of the costs incurred. In addition to these costs, of course, there will be construction costs to install power lines from the electrical cabinet to the machines. Install additional lighting systems, air conditioning, complete offices, toilets, etc. Therefore, it is best for investors, after deciding which factory to rent, to ask for construction drawings and fire prevention drawings and work with construction company to get the most detailed quote. For further advice on factories for rent in Vietnam, choosing a factory that suits your company's production needs, investors, please contact us.